tale is one about aliens and abductions and direction in life. This happened when I was living in San Diego, California, in North County, and I was going to go get acupuncture in Lucadia, California, which is right in that section of North County along the beach. So I go in to my acupuncture session and I am put into my room with my acupuncturist. I lay down on the table and I get comfortable and I am relaxing. As I'm relaxing, I can start to feel with my spidey senses energy in the room. And I thought it was my acupuncturist. So I kind of open my eyes, I look up, and what I saw was this kind of 3D hologram of a alien. It was blue, thin and tall, looking at me. And the energy that I got from this entity was very wise. I wouldn't say all knowing, but knew a lot more than me and was not going to hurt me or harm me. I did not feel threatened, intimidated, or scared in any way, but it was like this entity came to me, stood in the doorway, and showed itself to me. And I'm going, what is going on in here? Then, flash, this entity disappeared, but I could feel the energy of this entity. So my acupuncturist walks in, and she's known me for quite some time. She knew I was like a medium. She just looks at my face and she goes, "What did you see?" And I'm going, I say to her, "I don't know if you're going to believe this." And I said, "But I just saw somebody for you." And she goes, "What?" Because the entity telepathically said to me, "I'm here for this person, the acupuncturist." And I said, "Well, this entity that's here for you is an alien." And she just casually says to me, "Oh, you mean the alien that abducted me? Yeah, I know who you're talking about." I'm going, where am I? What reality am I living in right now? And I said, "Well, this entity is here." And she says, "Okay, well, tell me what you telepathically received in this moment of exchange with this entity." I telepathically received that this entity was working through her and the other healers at her acupuncturist place, treating it like a petri dish of healing. And I wouldn't say experimentation, so don't get scared. But they were working in collaboration with the healers to help the people who came into the acupuncturist energy healing place and to help the community. And she just looks at me and she goes, "Yeah, I know that," and proceeds to tell me this story. So she says that she's camping in Big Sur with a girlfriend of hers, and she was on the journey in her undergrad thinking about going to architecture school, so she wanted to go camping. And she tells me that her and her friend were laying in their tent and they were looking up at the stars through their tent. And they're watching stars and the satellites. And she and her friend look up, and her friend says, "Hey, look at that satellite." But the thing about the satellite, she said, was it wasn't moving like this across the sky, it was zigzagging. And the last thing she remembers saying was, "That is not a satellite." And boom, everything went black. And she says, in her experience, that she found herself on a table surrounded by aliens, and they proceeded to work on her. And then she woke up, and she said that her and her friend were laying a certain way in the tent, but when they woke up the next morning, they were in a completely different position. Meaning that they were put there. They didn't just roll around on each other or scoot around in a circle. It wasn't possible, according to her, in the tent to be moved like that. She said her and her friend woke up. They were very shook. Then they were going home, and as they were going home, she looked at her arm, and there was a scar on her arm that was not there the day before. And she shows me this scar. And she says after that, she felt inspired to go to acupuncture school and become a doctor in acupuncture and to give up architecture. And through that, she founded a very successful healing business that's been in Lucadia for, gosh, I want to say 20 years now. And she has helped so many people. She's helped me, my husband, so many of my friends. She helped one of my friends through Chinese medicine get pregnant when it was impossible with a daughter. She just did not have the physical capacity to do it. This particular friend that she had helped had eggs, but they were all males. She couldn't produce male eggs, and she was not able to get pregnant with the daughter. And this particular friend, the acupuncturist, helped her get pregnant with the girl. And so that's just one of the stories that I experienced from my life. And in a weird way, when I look at it, it's like I had this psychic experience, if you will, this magical experience, and I'm telling another person what I saw, and it was like my storyline and her storyline merge into one, and she's affirming to me through her own experience what I just experienced and what I'm telling to her. So that was kind of a wild experience for me because as a medium, I've never, before that time, I didn't really, work with otherworldly entities or even earth spirits, but that was the time in my life where I was starting to see more intelligences in the universe. I want to say, yes, they're entities in the fact that they have their own consciousness and awareness, but I want to say it's intelligences and differentiated intelligences. And intelligence takes many, many forms. Intelligence could be the plant, it could be the flowers, it could be the grass, it could be water, it could be this very earth planet that we're living on. And this experience gave me a perspective of a world much bigger than we are told in schools, and a reality that we are not educated in churches or universities or these types of things, that we have to experience it through experience and allow ourselves to be brave enough to talk about it. Because what if I had not spoken to this friend about what I had seen? What if I had just decided to keep this quiet to myself and say nothing at all? And she would not have had that validation of her experience if I had chosen to just keep it to myself. And it was brave of her to tell me this experience that she had had as well. So, of course, you have these types of experiences and they're wild. You can't explain this. I don't have any scientific evidence to prove to you that this had happened. I only have my testimony. And my credibility is resting in how honest I stay in every single story that I tell you from my own experience. So it's not the only experience I've had with extraterrestrial or even extra dimensional beings. I don't know. I don't have the answers for that. I'm learning as I experience this. But it really does open up your mind in terms of what is out there, what is possible. And stories like Star Trek and Star Wars and sci fi, I feel, are so the doorways to allow us into a new way of thinking and a new way of experiencing the universe. And I think these types of stories, whether they are fiction or they come from dreams or maybe even memories that people have, they allow us to stretch our concept of what the reality is in the universe. So that's my story. I hope that you enjoyed this one. Have you had a similar experience? I would love to know. What is your understanding of the universe or extraterrestrial beings? I really feel like there is a relationship somewhere between all of us, whether it's relationships with us in the animal kingdom, us in the plant kingdom. What if there is an alien kingdom? I don't know, but it's worth exploring. It's fun to talk about, and it's interesting to allow your mind and your imagination to go to these places and to just stretch yourself and your mind. Thanks for joining me. I'm Leslie Juvin-Acker on this episode of True Tales.